So there's this, more and more millennials are putting out posts on TikTok or whatever, complaining about the job market, complaining that they get out of college, they can't find a job. One person was saying that she couldn't find a job and they were saying that she had no experience, and she's like, I have experience, I have my college education. And there's other woman who got a job after putting out, like she's claimed 1,000, 2,000 applications, which I wouldn't be surprised. And she saw the same thing. She's seen the same thing where, college didn't prepare her for the workforce. That's the point of this video. College does not prepare people for the workforce. I would argue 80 to 90%, I should look at it. But I figure 80 to 90% of the programs in college have absolutely zero or next to zero economic advantage. Let me stress that, economic advantage, job earning advantage, or they're just not, if you're going to college to get a job or to increase your salary or increase your value as somebody who gets paid to do work, 80, 90% of the programs out there won't do it for you. They just won't. So you got to keep that in mind. Now, don't get me wrong. Two of my most important classes in terms of forming my mind was an anthropology class I took, which has no economic value, at least nothing direct. Now I get a job with anthropology. And my psych background. My major in university was psychology. I'm not a psychologist, but what I learned in psychology had a huge impact in terms of my overall career. Huge impact. So yeah, though those degrees have no economic value that you can't really draw a straight line to them, they did provide a lot of value. But here's the thing. If you're going into massive student loan debt, talking to people in the US here, and to take one of these degrees that don't have a direct straight line to a high paying job, don't do it. Don't do it. You see, college and universities, they were once the place that people went to. They were for the rich. They were for the idle rich who had nothing else to do. So, hey, we'll go learn a bunch of stuff. That's what university was all about. And then it got transformed into a business, and they started expanding it. They wanted to sell. It's a great product to sell, right? But people are starting to realize now, and I've been talking about this for years, people are realizing that a lot of college, a vast majority of it, doesn't have any economic value. And so, yeah, back to universities. The universities and the colleges, the main advantage they had was that they were sources of information. They had libraries, and in fact, certain universities were famous for their libraries. This is no longer the case, right? With the interwebs and Google and now AI and so on, you can access world-class information from your cell phone, from your smartphone. You don't need to go to college anymore. So just like newspapers, they didn't, the reason they got crushed by the internet is because they lost focus. They got so detached from the bottom line and from the reason why newspapers became so powerful. And the reason was because they leveraged the technology, cheap printing. They're able to quickly and cheaply distribute information, by the newspapers. So when the web came out, and you can now distribute information even more cheaply and quickly, newspapers got killed. That's because the newspapers, the owners, had forgotten why they became so powerful and such big business in the past, was that advantage, the advantage of cheap distribution of information. And so universities have forgotten why universities became so influential, because they were repositories of information. Information was scarce. I remember when I had to go research when I got a blood disease when I was a kid. The internet wasn't around at that point. And so I had to go to libraries and go to bookstores. I had to dig for my information. These days, it's just like you just search it up and away you go. So anyway, yeah, I feel sorry for the millennials who got suckered in like a fish on a line. They bit on that whole take the marketing degree, take the sociology degree, take the women's studies degree, etc., etc. Most degrees are useless vis-a-vis earning potential, especially when you weigh what the university degrees returns to you monetarily wise versus the job opportunities. That's why I tell people, you know, you're much better off to learn to code.